Look, that's what it sounds like on y'all end. But guess what I'm listening to? Guess what I'm listening to 20 Savage on my end. uh, oh man, John, you listen to 21 Savage?
Yeah.
Oh man, what's your did you like Savage Mode too?
Bro, I don't really know names. It's pretty much my brother-in-law just puts me on music and don't ever tell me the names. He just kind of we just kind of roll with it.
Hey Tavo, what it do, man? What it do? I respect that because we got a friend named Rome. Matter of fact, Nick. Rome really don't listen to music like that, but he has Gunna. He like outside of that, I mean, man, if he can live with whole hour, a whole day of silence and be. I guess it. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Die Podcast. Um, the fellas are still filing in. Ryan is joining us shortly. So is Rick. Rick is dealing with Nick was dealing with before we went live. Um, but he's gonna be joining us. Today we have a couple guests on, man. And joining us first, we getting out the way. Um, but it's gonna be a good time, man. We got John Walker. Walker covers the Pittsburgh Steelers for SteelerNation.com, and by the grace of God, my good man was able to overcome his self-proclaimed tech inexperience. It wasn't that bad.
Eh,
It was
no, it
real
was
simple,
easy.
man. Yeah, I'm about to say
It
just
was easy.
follow the link and you right there, man. So welcome to the show,
Yeah,
John. I appreciate you joining us. How you feeling tonight?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Was looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Hey, Tapo is serious. I'm gonna just read it for you, man. Put you out here. Yes, you are at home kicking it with the Top of Die podcast. Ready. I hope you on the mic. You know what I'm saying? Putting that out there, practicing for when you get on here. You know what I'm saying, and promote what you got going. But yeah, that's good to hear, man. And John, let's get some background information from you, because this is the first time we're talking to you on the mic. This is my first time talking to you, sort of in person. It's virtual,
Yeah,
but it's whatever. Lifelong Steelers fan is that your situation?
yeah. Born and raised in Pittsburgh, still living here. So it's been Steelers since I can as far back as I can remember.
Out and I'll ask you, when was that moment? Like, cause I remember being a fan when I'm a Skins fan. I remember being a fan when I like in the 2000s, early 2000s. My dad taking me to Texans game when they just became a franchise, and I loved it. But then it was that one season. It was a 2004 season. I did not miss a single game. I didn't miss a single game, and that's when I realized like I was in it. When was
Yeah.
that moment for you?
Oh man. Well, when I was real little, I like all kids. Like I wanted to do the opposite of my dad. So I used to cheer because he was a Steelers fan. I used to cheer for whoever they played against. But then I was like, oh no no no, I don't like this. And then I just started cheering for the Steelers. And then I think it's probably probably Ben's rookie year in '04. I all I wanted for Christmas was a Ben jersey. Like that was it. That's the only thing I wanted, and I got it. And then after that, it was like didn't miss a game. It was black and gold forever.
Now, Nick, we can say, and obviously John too, that was one hell of a year for you to become a fan or realize the fandom. Because what
Yeah,
y'all went 15-1 that year.
yeah, yep. I was only 9 at the time, so
Oh my god.
yeah. But
Hold on, 9. How old are you?
I just turned 26
Oh,
last week.
my math off. Okay, so for some reason I thought he was like 24 based on that. Okay, so I'm 27. I turned 28 in a couple months.
Okay.
Nick Nick is up there in age, close to Rod Dog. Right. If he
I ain't
pops on,
never,
he's about 40 something. So
I ain't never gonna be close to Ryan, but yeah, man, 28, humble 28, man, can't.
uh, so listen though. Obviously when it comes to journalism, a lot of people tell us I started writing in and a lot of people talk to us. I would assume they did the same thing to you. I think the best thing for a journalist, especially when you're covering your team, is to try and detach yourself from the fan side of things because you want to try and look at things as objectively as you. And obviously, some people push back because a lot of people don't realize like you're a fan. How can you talk like this? But at the same time, whether it's negative or positive, your goal is to be as balanced as possible. So with that being said, you becoming a journalism, when did you actually decide to make that switch?
Um, well, I was like writing in school, and then after that, it just after I graduated, I got into just like a lot of freelance writing. Like I just was, seeing whatever like page or podcast or anything could pop up that I could just do some articles for. So that's kind of how it started, and then yeah, just kind of took off from there. Doing articles, got like interviews, like that kind of stuff. All just went forward from there.
Who was your first interview? Was it
Uh, First ever interview was actually over the phone. Was with Javon Hay, who was he played for a bunch of different teams, but yeah, the first opportunity I got to write was with Sports Talk Feed, and so Javon Hay gave me a phone interview and we talked. But sit down interview was probably Duck Hodges last year. So
and how
yeah,
was that experience?
Duck was awesome. Like Duck really was a good dude, and he's so polarizing in Pittsburgh because he has like a cult following here. So that's just how it was.
Hey, I remember he had I can't I think it was like a year where y'all went through like three or four quarterbacks. Duck was the guy who I want to say he won like two in a row. Got some momentum behind his name, and I don't remember what happened after the two. He won like he had like a winning streak. Something happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, so go ahead and talk some. First off, Rick, what it do, man? I don't know if your camera or whatever isn't working or anything. I peeped you in here, and for the for listening, Rick just joined us. We're gonna talk some
What's
Pittsburgh
going
football.
on? Can you hear me?
Sir, we can hear you. You can hear
Okay,
us. You good?
perfect. Yeah, everything is good. Everything is good. I'm trying to get this camera situated because my camera's a little messed up, but I'm working through it. We'll be good.
All right, that's a bet. So we want to talk some Pittsburgh football. Obviously, Steelers and the Cowboys had the first stab of football to start the 20 season. And the big topic for us, considering we are from the we're going to get out the way with Haskins. Not just because he played with the Washington football team, but generally he has ties to the area. John, just your overall opinion first and foremost. How is Haskins coming along to this point of the season?
I like Dwayne a lot, and he's probably a lot of things you guys are familiar with being Washington fans. He hasn't exactly been consistent through camp, but you can see the talent is there. Like even when they do like their live reps, his average of yards through the air passing as compared to all the check down stuff is just way above all the other quarterbacks, and that's why I was disappointed with the first preseason game. Not necessarily in Dwayne's performance, but it was a lot of check downs, a lot of quick. It's almost like he was playing like he didn't want to make a mistake, which I get, but I'm hoping the second game tomorrow, I'm hoping Dwayne just lets it rip because, the coaches love him, and it seems like what I can gather, all the teammates love him, and his arm is ridiculous. Like he's got a lot of talent. I just hoping he could put it all together. I would love for him to put it all together and stick around here for sure.
So, I have to make this observation because I do have some experience. I will clear the air. Nick is he's a Cowboys fan, so I am and so is Eric, who's on the call right now. They are Cowboys fans, so I'll do them that favor. I won't lump them in with the Washington side, but we're all from the DMV, and with Haskins, man, we've seen a lot, and I have to make this observation, and uh it was a point in time in his career in Washington where you mentioned the check down stuff, and it was his first outing with Pittsburgh. So I have not seen him this offseason. I have not seen him in the summer. I have only read. Um, but there's been instances when he's become nervous or afraid to make a mistake. He doesn't have that confidence and that comfort zone where he can actually make those throws down the field and he results to checking it down. Um, isn't all the time, but these are observations we notice when he's kind of nervous. Now the reason me bringing this up is more so to ask you, um, if this is something that's consistent or it pops up again, is there a way where you can see him overtaking Mason Rudolph or even a guy named who I liked,
Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs. I like Josh Dobbs. Yeah, is there a situation or a scenario where you can see him overtaking both of them as the
Yeah, actually, it wouldn't surprise me. One thing that, because Dobbs, he has not went away. Everyone kind of wrote him off at the start. Everyone just figured, Mason was going to be the backup and Haskins was going to be the three. But Dobbs, he's had a really, really good camp, and his accuracy. A guy here in Pittsburgh media, Alex Kazar, even just charted today. He charts like every stat you could think of, and he showed everything of Dobbs through the years, and he's continued to get better, and he had his best camp so far. So Dobbs hasn't went away, but I still think Haskins could hang on to that three, and like you said, even possibly pass Rudolph at two. But it's gonna be hard, I think, with Mason because I feel at this point they just have so much invested in him that they're not just gonna give up on him. And one thing Rudolph has for him that not even Ben has for him is he is the only quarterback under contract for next year. He's the only one in that entire room. So it's going to be, I think it's going to have to be Mason losing the job more as Dwayne winning it. But I do think there is a path for Haskins to take the backup spot behind Ben.
So before I go, macro level question, Nick, did you have anything on Dwayne or Nick or Rick? Did y'all have any questions for?
No, I mean, I know Dwayne, man, personally. We go way back. But I kind of knew he was a check down guy coming out of Ohio State because they did a lot of that there, and it just kind of like he just never changed for real. You could tell. I think he has a talent, but he doesn't have the confidence behind his talent. So until he gets that, I think he's going to be, who he is right now. So I'm good on Dwayne. He's my guy, though. I'm good on him.
I'm good on him, but he my guy. You know what I'm saying? But I'm good.
My guy, I'm good on him,
If
man.
I didn't say I was good on him again, you know what I'm saying?
Good on him, man.
Hey Rick, you good over there, boss?
Oh yeah. No, I'm good on Haskins, man. I've never really been a fan of the guy. I mean, I watched him play ball, but he definitely lacks the confidence, man. If it's one thing you're gonna say, I like out of football, you gotta have confidence. If you can come with that first, I feel like you're not gonna be able to thrive in your position, man, because you don't even believe in yourself. So, I don't think he looked that bad in the Hall of Fame game, but I think Dobbs might. I mean, Dobbs got the tug, so it's always gonna look good in the coach's eyes, but. I hope he don't get cut, but I think they might take Dobbs over the boy if they got to choose.
I'm definitely pulling for Dwayne, man, and I don't we don't have to talk too much about him, but I'm definitely pulling for him, man. He's a vested interest after what we've been through in Washington. It had little to do with on the field and more to do with how he handled himself. So if things can get turned around in Pittsburgh. Out of all places, things can get turned around in Pittsburgh for Dwayne, and I got that confidence. But okay, macro level, man. The Steelers offense at some point in the season hit a major roadblock. I would say midway, John, if that's fair. They hit a roadblock.
Yeah.
Explain the origins of it, and secondly, when did you become alarmed by the issue? Like, when did you personally become what was going on during the season?
Well, it started up front. That offensive line just was not good. Even, they had, Pouncey and DeCastro, long-time guys on that line, all pros, and it was still, they were just bad. I mean, they couldn't block anyone, and they could not run the football. I mean, they were dead last in almost every single rushing category that matters. I mean, they could not run, and they got their first loss against Washington, obviously, as you know, tip of the cap to you. But that those struggles surfaced a couple weeks before. Like, they played that Ravens game with, it was postponed how many times, but
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, Baltimore had most of their team out with COVID, and they still barely scraped by with a win. So I don't even know when the struggles really started, but I mean it was prevalent from the beginning. It was, you know, they couldn't run the ball. You know, 3rd and 1, and they wouldn't even try to run it anymore. Like they just, and I do think towards the end of the season, Ben's arm got tired, and I don't even think it was age. I think it was a lot to do with, like he said, before camp even started, he had thrown thousands of passes to try to rehab his arm. So I think this year the offense, the line is totally different. They're starting. I mean, they have one guy coming back, but he's jumping from right tackle to left tackle, and then the other 4 guys are all new. So I don't know if they're going to be as talented on paper as they were last year, but they can't be any worse. And I think they're going to be hungrier. And now Kendrick Green, the center they drafted out of Illinois. I mean, Tomlin's been glowing about him in camp. I think he's going to be the starting center. And then Dotson, the guard they drafted last year, he's still taking just second team reps in camp. And there was a big situation a couple of days ago after practice. They asked Tomlin why he wasn't running with the first team, and Tomlin told the media he hasn't done anything to earn first team reps. But when he played last year, when he filled in, he was the best lineman on the team. So maybe it was just something for motivation. But I do think he'll make his way be the starting guard. So I think the line and they signed Trey Turner after they cut DeCastro, who, if he could stay healthy, I think he'll be an upgrade over what DeCastro was last season. So, so the line, like I said, it's very unproven, and it's definitely their weakness. But I think there's a lot more upside than people will realize.
So if you had to give a grade, because I know you just broke down, and I think it's safe to assume that it was clearly the biggest issue heading into this year. If you were to give a grade on if you all effectively addressed these, given that it's uncertainty, but as you can see it right now, what would be the grade for how you all addressed the last year?
I think I would give it a B plus with potential to be an A plus. Obviously, they drafted Harris in the first round. I know you don't draft running backs in the first round, and even even I was like, there were a couple guys on the board where I really wanted them to look at, but when you looked at how bad they were struggling, and they couldn't run the ball in any situation last year, so I understood the pick. I like the pick, and I think he is gonna, have his worth as a first round pick. The tight end they got out of Penn State, Pat Freiermuth. I mean, the dude could block, and that was another Eric Ebron last year. He didn't like to block, and he was open about that.
Either.
Like, yeah, that's. But he says he's worked on his blocking. He said this is the year he wants to prove his worth as a blocker and a tight end, be more complete. So we'll see. And then I think the biggest thing that they did was the O-line coach. They got rid of Sean Sarrett and brought in. Well, they didn't bring in. They promoted Adrian Clem, and I'll leave his name out. But there was a player I was talking, a young offensive lineman, a couple years ago, and he was telling me that he would ask Coach Sarrett questions, and Sarrett would tell him, "Go ask Pouncey, go ask Foster." He said, "You should know this stuff." He would say he wouldn't teach us anything, wouldn't help us, and then they promoted Clem. Yeah, not coaching at all. He was letting players coach themselves, and it was very obvious that that's exactly what was happening. And then so they promoted Clem, and this dude, he's nasty. I mean, he's screaming in minicamp, run through their effing face. They are just like, he's up, and that's very reflective in camp. Like, the O-line's been playing with an edge. They struggled, and their depth isn't very good either. So that's another issue they have. But their nastiness is definitely not lacking. So I think that's going to be a big benefit to them as well.
Hey, I'm excited for the Pittsburgh receivers. I love y'all receivers. I'm not. I've always been a fan of the receivers y'all pick up, man. And the core that y'all got right now, my boy, what's his name? Deontay
Johnson.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is my.
You like Juju?
That's my guy. Hey, toe
like
tap, huh?
You like Juju?
Absolutely, because I
Juju.
feel like he's a quarterback's favorite, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the type of person where, you feel me, if the quarterback's in trouble, I know what Juju gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Juju may have his ups and his downs, but I like the way he plays receiver in general. I love the way he plays receiver. When he's good, he's good. You know what I'm saying? He just has to get more consistent. You feel me? And I feel like it is gonna be kind of hard to get more consistent with all the receivers that they have. You got Claypool about to be taking reps now. You still got James Washington you about throwing the ball to. Y'all still got Ebron.
Yep.
Yeah, you got Ebron. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that's going to be getting the ball down, and you got a running back that's going to require big carries. So he's going to have to take the little opportunities he get, man, and try to make the most out of it. But I'm excited, to say the least.
Yeah, Deontay's actually my favorite receiver as well.
I'm telling you, that's my guy. That is my guy. I love the way he play football.
Yep, I know he struggled with the drops last year, but I'm telling you, man, that talent is all there. He's the guy you look at in your room is like he's got superstar written all over him.
100%.
And he's a good dude. He's a good dude off the
field. For real?
Yeah, I got to work with him a couple times, like doing like appearances and stuff. He's a good dude.
Yeah, no, that I definitely seen it in him, man.
So let me ask you, just on the receiver topic, how do you prefer Juju to play in this offense? Like, where does he work best? Is he a boundary guy, like an X or a Z, or like where are you at with?
Juju wants to play the outside, and he played a ton in the slot, and I think they're going to want to keep him in the slot, but he doesn't have very many of those dominant outside boundary receiver traits that but I think he can play there, and I think he's going to move around more than he did this past year. And his numbers last year, you look at him, and they weren't overwhelmingly good, but if you look at his route tree, I mean, they had him running 5-6 yard routes, and where he would catch the ball and he would get hit immediately. So they didn't really give him chances to get downfield, run routes further than 5 yards. So I think he'll get more opportunities this year. Maybe not as many as he would like, because I think that's reflective in his pay too. He wants to be the outside, but I think he'll get some more playing time there than he did last year. I don't know if it's going to be as much as he likes, because he is a really good slot receiver.
That's what I was getting. Like, he's the ultimate man. It's kind of interesting to hear that you saying he wants to be outside, and that's fine. Especially for a receiver, like if they have a preference. Like, if your production stands out in one area and you want to move against that, I think you need to fully invest to where you can make the most money. That's what I think you need.
Yeah,
that's what I think you need.
I think he's scared of the contract that goes with being in the slot, though. There's no reason to not get in the slot. I feel like being in the slot is kind of easier than going outside.
If I'm playing receiver, I would love to play the slot. You the closest to the quarterback.
Size is cool.
I'm getting all nickels. I'm getting
struck by safeties all day.
I'm catching all nickels and safeties, bro. You feel me? Like, I'm loving the slot. You feel me? But I think it's exactly what Nick talking about. Do he got that dog in him? When AB left, you feel me? He was talking all that talk, like, yeah, I'm the guy, but look at him, you're not showing up. So you got to walk the walk. You got to talk the talk too, man.
That's the thing. Yeah, he's not that guy. But speaking of the receivers, speaking of receivers,
and plus
I saw that James Washington kind of wanted out. How is that situation going on in camp? Are they trying to?
I can't blame him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's another guy. I got to work with James, he's super nice, super awesome dude. Like, I love James. People don't. When that report came out, everyone's like, "Who's that?" And to his point, like, he doesn't open his mouth. Like, I don't know if I've ever heard the guy give an interview ever. Like, so he's stuck behind. Like, Juju's a big presence. Claypool's a big presence. So James is kind of just that forgotten about wide receiver. And now they got Harris now, and they got Freiermuth. So James might be like 6th or 7th in the pecking order for targets. So I couldn't blame James if he wants out. Coach Tomlin insists that he did not request a trade and does not want out. But I don't know if that's damage control or what. But the day after that report came out, I was at camp, and Washington probably had his best day of camp the day after that report came out. So I don't know. He doesn't do interviews, so you really can't ask him. You don't talk to him. I've never seen him talk to a media member ever. He's just quiet. He stays to himself. So I don't know. I guess we'll just see how that one plays out.
So one more question on the offensive side of the ball. Um, Big Ben, man. Uh, this is a question.
My
I'll
God.
just lay it out for you and just give your honest opinion on it, John. Um,
Yeah.
is his time running out in Pittsburgh?
He, I would say, at most he would probably have 2 years left, and that's being generous. And that's nothing against Ben, but I mean, as old as he is, he's been around since 2004, and he has had a lot of significant injuries. And granted, he'll even tell you he didn't take the best care of himself through his career. He would come in overweight and wouldn't do much off season stuff, but I still think he is good enough to get this team where it needs to be. He's not the player he was, and any Steeler fan that tells you he is just being delusional about it because he's not the same guy. He's almost 40 years old. His body's beat up. He had a major surgery on his throwing arm just 2 years ago. So Ben's not like prime Big Ben, he's going to run around for 5 minutes and find a guy breaking back across the field. But I still think Ben has enough in the tank plus good enough weapons to get this team where it has to be.
So actually, 'cause I was gonna ask this. I was essentially gonna ask if he had enough in the tank. Uh, I don't know that elbow thing. Aren't they consultant? Oh no, that's Dak Prescott. But I was gonna say, didn't he have something similar to like a baseball injury last year? I forgot what it was.
The Tommy John
Yeah, the
elbow.
Tommy
Yeah,
John thing. That's what I was thinking about. He had the Tommy John last year.
yeah. I'm I'm not exactly sure like what the exact but the surgery was, but I know whatever like the tendons on that bone, he almost ripped or he ripped all of them completely off the bone. So it was like
Ah,
a serious injury. And he said that he's had pain in that arm in that area for a few seasons, and then in that game, that second game of the year when it happened, he said he knew then and there, like it was like done. Like he knew he had really injured it. So, but again, with the guys they brought in, they're not. Ben's not going to have to throw the ball 45 times a game anymore.
okay. And I'll ask this quick question before we get to like the outlook in the AFC North. We know the defense with Pittsburgh. It's consistently. Are there any concerns on that side of the ball? And I'll lay that out to you. Just another general question. Are there any concerns on that side of the ball?
I would say the if there's one concern for me, it would be depth. One, the defensive line as good as it is. Hayward, Hallborough, Alulu was great last year before his injury, and then Tuitt, who I think at this point might be the most underrated player in football. I mean, he's on defense with so many great players that no one really talks about him. But the last couple years, they've been banged up, and the depth behind them is just all improving guys. There's no one that that you have there that could immediately come in and fill. And then the second, well, I guess for the secondary as well for them. But I think the other major area I'm worried about is the inside linebacker spot. They get Devin Bush back, which is huge, but Vince Williams retired a week before camp, and then Robert Spillane, who filled in great, in spots last year. To me, I just don't think he's that guy. I love what Spillane brings to the team, and he plays hard. And I think he's a great special teams, and I think he'd be a great, third inside linebacker. But as far as in every snap, second inside linebacker, I'm not confident with him in that area. He plays hard, but there's just too many limitations to his game for me to be really confident in that spot for him.
Uh, so we got about 5 minutes left with John and John. I appreciate your time, and I definitely appreciate with the
No
Trap Around
problem.
podcast. Fellas, I'm gonna get y'all opinion first. And then we're gonna lay this last question out for John to get the last word. The AFC North. Uh, where do you all think Pittsburgh stacks up in the? Are they strong enough of a team to beat out the Ravens or the Browns, even both? Where are y'all at with that question? Can they beat out both teams or either one of them? Nick, go.
I mean, the Browns just made things so difficult, bro. Browns have made
Yeah.
things so much difficult. The Steelers give me the same defense last year, play a little bit better in defense. Big Ben, if Big Ben can stay healthy, and I mean,
I feel like that's never a given either.
I know, but it's just like if I in this one situation, if I could control if I control all the X factors, I'd say maybe second, because I feel like the Ravens is just, I mean, that game is always a toss up as well, so I could say first or second, but I feel like I feel the same way about the Ravens, and I feel the same way about the Browns, unfortunately, but yeah, I'll say first or second.
Okay.
I think they can squeeze out first or second if we got healthy Steelers mob with a new offensive line. Yeah.
Okay.
And a run
remember,
game.
he said they were new, but still unproven as well. So new didn't mean better.
You're right. I mean,
it can't be worse. Literally,
it can't be worse. Correct. I just want to make sure Eric understood what you were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, you got a run game. You give me Big Ben. You give me this passing game. You give me that defense. I think you easily get first place.
All right, Nick, where you at?
Okay, not as optimistic as Eric. I'm gonna say at best they can be second. I got the Browns winning the division, of course. I just think that defense has to get all those turnovers again. That's going to be hard to do. They got a good punter though, like my boy Presley. He can, that's a good thing to have. But I just don't see him doing it again. Big Ben has to play 17 games. I don't see it happens. He might get you 10, and then even if he does play the whole 17, is that arm going to give him trouble again? It's just too many factors I can't. Nah, he's too old, and he doesn't take care of his body. Third, for sure. So they're going to beat the Bengals, but I just don't see him. I just don't see him winning the division. I don't see him going to the playoffs. So, yeah, second at best, but no.
Y'all playing with Big Ben, man.
I feel like it's going to be hard. I'm not going to lie to you, but I think that the issue with Pittsburgh isn't necessarily talent. Like, I've always thought that, I mean, and it's clear as day. Like, look what they did last year, man. They got off an 11-0 start. Same division. Like, ain't nothing changed. Like, in the same division.
Yeah.
So I as much as I say that they have the capability of doing that, we have to be aware that the Browns got better as well.
Yep.
And that's what makes it tough. Like Eric said, it's going to be hard, but at the same time, man, I think that the Steelers are going to be competing for around second place. I think that's kind of where we at with it. But John, Bossman, what's your opinion? I got second. Eric got second or first. Nick got third. Where are you at with it?
All right. All good points made and all fair points. The point about Ben holding up is fair. To me, it's if they won the division, I would not be surprised. But if they came in third in the division, I also would not be surprised. Cleveland, they could argue maybe the second or third best roster in the league on paper. I think they finally got. I think they finally got a coach. And Baltimore, they're going to be tough. Lamar Jackson's going to ball. That's what he does. And Harbaugh is as good of a coach as you're going to find. I don't know. I don't know if there's a coach in the league that gets more out of his players than Harbaugh, because their roster's not loaded with talent, but they're always, showing up ready to play no matter who they're playing. But, with Pittsburgh still, that defense is still mainly intact. They lost Hilton, Nelson, and Vince Williams, but I personally think Cam Sutton is going to be better than Steve Nelson was. Bud Dupree leaving hurts, but they got a guy that I don't think anyone outside of Pittsburgh knows, Alex Highsmith. I don't know if anyone outside of Pittsburgh knows him, but the dude could play. And I think if there was any positive to come out of Bud Dupree's injury, it's Highsmith's learning curve got sped up a ton because he took all those reps that Dupree was taking. So, I think, Watt's going to be there. That the little contract situation will get worked out. I'm not worried about that. You got Minka here still, Hayward still.
I forgot about Minka.
Yeah, Dev Bush is coming back, and he's looking good. He looks fast.
I forgot about Minka. You said it's gonna be hard for them to do what on defense next again, Nick? You are tripping. That defense about to hum. That defense about to hum.
No,
Yeah,
I
You
didn't
said
say
it's gonna be
nothing
hard
wrong
for
with
them
the defense.
to
It's
repeat
just
what they did.
the amount of turnovers they got last year was ridiculous.
I just feel like culture,
like
bro.
every other play they was getting
I just
picks,
feel like it's
fumbles.
different when it's a culture, bro. Like the Ravens, they have the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like their defense is consistently gonna be, top 10, top 15. You know what I'm saying? Like the Steelers have the culture. You know what I'm saying? And they got the players with it as well. So if people stay healthy, I don't think they're gonna have to really worry about defense too much. Because I be looking at them sometimes, and I don't be understanding how they be cooked. I don't understand how Joe Hayden is still playing and be cooking people, bro. I don't understand it. He got to be like 55 at this point.
Yeah,
well, he got one of the best front sevens, and he has Minka. Like he has a good.
I get it.
Over
That's
the top.
what I'm saying. Like they just got after that, they just got pieces. They front seven is going to do their thing, and if the front seven do their thing, the secondary they're gonna be on lawn chairs, just chilling.
Yeah, so I think defensively they're going to be at least as good as they were last year, and then offensively, it's obvious. The big questions are: is Ben going to hold up, which is a fair question, and how is that O line going to look? Because I mean, we're at their second week of camp, and what's projected to be the first, the starting unit still hasn't taken a snap together, and the average age of that line last year was, I don't know the number, probably mid-30 or like 32, 33-ish, if I had to guess. And this year, I mean, you got Trey Turner, who's, he's not young, but besides that, your oldest lineman's probably 25, 26 years old. So they're young, and that's going to come with its lumps. And that's just inevitable. It's going to take a while for that unit to gel, especially because, we're halfway through camp and they still haven't taken a snap together. And then, I didn't even bring up the offensive coordinator change. And Matt Canna has a lot of movement, a lot of motion, a lot of shifts, and that showed in the first preseason game. They fumbled, they missed time on the sweep. So all those lumps they'd have to take them. They're inevitable. You're not gonna avoid them. So I think they just that O-line's gotta gel, and they're gonna have to lean on Harris. Najee Harris is just gonna have to immediately come in and make the impact that they expect them to. They can't go out throwing 40 times a game. They got to lean on Najee, and then, they have so many other weapons that they could have help Ben out. He just, at this age and this stage of his career, Ben's not capable of just, and I still think Ben is not nearly as bad as national media makes him out to be. Like, I think someone just put him like the 18th best quarterback, and that's just crazy to me. Like Ben's not, his elite top tier, prime Ben, but he's around the top 10. I could understand leaving him out a little bit, maybe 12th ish, but Ben could still play. Ben could still play at a high level, and Ben could lead this team to first in the division if his body will allow him to, I think.
Yeah. I will say this though. I'm looking at the schedule now. It is
brutal.
Absolutely.
And what's first for Nick?
First four. It ain't about the first four. It's the last four. They got Titans, Chiefs, Browns, Ravens to end the year off.
Well, they don't got to worry about the Titans game, so that's 3.
Oh yeah.
If they make the playoffs, they earned it. They really earned it, because it's not going to be easy. It's a gauntlet of a schedule. I think they'll be up for it. Coach Tomlin will have them ready for it. But
I mean, I wouldn't want my schedule. I wouldn't want my schedule no other way, bro.
That happened to us last year.
I want to go against the best all year, bro. I don't want us facing the best in the playoffs, and we just the first time we seeing it. Absolutely not. Yeah, I want us getting the best immediately. With the toughest schedule, bro.
Yep, that's what happened to us last year. I mean, we had a string of easy games and a lot of backup quarterbacks, and it proved not beneficial at all once the playoffs came around.
Yeah.
So we can go get up out of here, John. I appreciate your time, man. You great brand. Appreciate you breaking down and chopping it up with the Chop It Down podcast. But before we get out of here, one thing, go ahead and plug everything that you got going on and let the people know where they can.
All right. First of all, I also got to give a shout out to one of your guys' linebackers, Khalid Hudson. He's a bit younger, a couple years younger than me, but we went to the same high school. So
Oh yeah, because
I'm gonna shout
he is from
out.
Pittsburgh.
Yep, I'm gonna shout out fellow McKeesport Tiger and Khalik. But follow me on Twitter at Real John Walker. Follow Steeler Nation on Twitter. I'll be doing the live tweeting for the games for them this year. So yeah, you can just find me on there or Facebook, I guess, if you want to go that route. But yeah, so just find me on either of those things. Definitely look up Steeler Nation. They got a ton of great writers over there, and they got a couple cool podcasts going. They got an all girls podcast, and they've been bringing in some big guests. So check them out as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man.
Absolutely. John, good luck with the Steelers this year. I'm definitely gonna be saying. I mean, we're football fans, so we're locked in regardless. And hopefully
Yep.
we can catch you up down the line, man. I appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'll be back on sometime soon.
Absolutely, man. You ain't going nowhere, big
All
dog. I'll
right,
check in with you. Appreciate
all
it.
right, man. I'll talk to you. Take
All
care,
right,
guys.
All right, man.
sir.